I don't know about you, but I had a hard time keeping up with interest rates this past May. It was up, it was down, it was down, it was up. I mean, it was just hard to keep up. Hi there, my name is Jaleesa McLennan. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of Texas. I'm also a real estate investor, and I used to be a business analyst. So every month I take a look at all the data in the Houston Association of Realtors Multiple Listing Service, which covers as far north as Montgomery, Texas, and as far south as Galveston, Texas. And I look to see what's happening in the market and how it affects prices and so on. I love having that information for myself, for making my real estate decisions, and I love sharing that with my clients and of course you watching the video today as well. So today we're going to be looking at what sales have been looking like. We're going to talk about average home prices. We're going to talk about interest rates and what really impact them. Stick with me to the end. I'm going to share a couple pointers on how you can achieve some of the best interest rates right now, despite whatever else you may be reading in the newspaper or the headlines. So let's dive in. So I'm going to start by going to my trusted Freddie Mac website, where you can get your day-by-day history of the average interest rates. If we look at May 2nd, for instance, interest rates went up all the way to 7.22%. Now, if you look at the graph here, you see that throughout the month, there was a bit of a decline. And we came all the way down to 6.94%, somewhere around the week ending May 23rd. Now, not surprisingly, if we take a look at the Mortgage Bankers Association press release around that time, we'll see that mortgage applications actually increased. So that shouldn't be surprising, because the minute there's a bit of a reprieve, people come back in the market, they put their mortgage applications in, they try and get into a new home. Now, what happened here in May is a really good example with regard to what really impacts interest rates. There was no announcement from the Fed about interest rates. They didn't announce that it would go up, they didn't announce that it would go down, but we still saw movement in interest rates, because although the Fed doesn't set mortgage interest rates, their policies and decisions do obviously impact mortgage interest rates. But a couple other things impact mortgage rates, and that would be inflation, employment. On a personal level, the mortgage rate that you go home with is impacted by your credit score, of course, your debt to income ratio, and other factors, sometimes the area in particular where you plan to live, and of course things like the amount of savings you have, money you have to contribute towards the purchase. So those are the kind of things that impact interest rates. So if you don't see or hear anything from the Fed, doesn't mean that things are not happening with mortgage rates. So it's always good to stay close to your realtor and your lender to see where exactly mortgage rates are. So having said that, let's start looking at the market stats. So we're going to head over to HER, MLS. The first ones I always look at is number of sales, how many homes are actually getting sold. So for the month of May, we had just about 8,100 homes sold, single family homes in the Houston area. Now, if we take a look at what's been happening over the last couple of months and compare with last year. So if we see last year, May, which is right here, we actually have a decline from May last year to May this year. It's somewhere about 4%, a 4% decline between last year, May, and this year, May. If we compare last month, or the previous month rather, April 2024 versus May 24, we see that there's a little bit of an incline, just about a 2% increase. And actually, if we take a look at what's been happening this year, 2024, look at January, where we started off with regard to number of sales. And each month, we've seen a bit of an increase. Now, it stands to reason, especially for sellers, you may want to take a note of this. It seems that we're in a bit of an upward trajectory when it comes to sales. So June, as we head into June, July, these are the busier months anyways for real estate. It might be a good time to put your house in the market so you can maybe get or benefit from that upward wave that we seem to be experiencing. As always, this is an average for the Houston area, so it's always good to take a look at your specific subdivision or city that you're trying to buy in or sell out of. So let's take a look at average sales price. I know that's a big one that person's always curious about. Let's see what happened in May. And we see that we actually had a little bit of an increase. I think the number is, I think it's a 2% increase. And compared to last year, May, it's about a 4% increase from May 2023 to May 2024. Now, if you're like me and you see the headlines about prices falling, or maybe you're talking to your neighbors and you're wondering, okay, well, how does this make sense? Let's drill down. Let's take a look at some specific communities. Let's try Humble. I want to pick on Humble. Love Humble, by the way. It is a great city. Have some really nice subdivisions in there as well. Let's look at what Humble's average sales price look. So you see, we actually, in that specific city, we had a decrease. In the month of May, the average sales price actually went down. Let's try another city, another Houston area city. And we are going to try Katy. No surprise, one of my favorite places. I actually have a video talking about things to avoid in Katy. Feel free to check that out. Now in Katy, we see an increase. So that's why it's really important. It's great to understand what's happening in the area, of course, but especially if you're making a decision to buy or sell, it's really good to drill down and take a look at what's happening in your specific city, your specific subdivision. Now, I cannot show every single city or subdivision in this video, but you can give me a call and we can actually sit down together or over the phone and we can talk about the stats for your specific community. So far, it seems like things are moving. I mean, homes are getting sold. Average selling price seems to be there's some declines, but not too bad. On the whole, seems to be going up, average sales price. But there's a stat that I really like and helps me put things in context, and that's the months of inventory. So let's check that out. So according to this, months of inventory is just about 3. Actually, it's 3.7 to be exact for the month of May. Now, what that's telling me is that based on all the homes available for sale in the month of May, it would have taken 3.7 months to sell out all the homes that were available. Now, that's not a lot. I mean, it still points to low inventory. In fact, economists say that a healthy or balanced market has months of inventory of about 6, and we're at the average is 3.7. Now, I know communities for a fact where the months of inventory is 1.9, maybe 2.2. So we see that we still definitely have an inventory issue in the area, and to a certain extent, we're still in a bit of a seller's market. Now, speaking of sellers, here's a stat that my sellers always want to know. How long does it take to get under contract? Now, it says days to sell, but what it really means is days to get under contract. So we see there that we've had a steady decline in the number of days it's taking for a home to go under contract since the year started. And in May, we're down to about 42 days, which is not bad at all, actually. So it's telling me a couple of things. It's telling me that buyers are making decisions quicker. It's telling me that sellers are probably more willing to negotiate. Now, having said that, let's check one more stat, and that would be the close price to list price ratio. That's interesting. So we're about 98.6 for the month of May. So it basically means that the sellers were getting an average 98.6%, almost 100% of what they were asking. So that's pretty good. So it's telling me as well that sellers are probably pricing appropriately given the market conditions. All in all, it's very encouraging. You know, things are moving, but I do get that people are still reluctant, people are still nervous. I mean, 7.7 plus interest rates, that's not easy to swallow, because even though we saw some declines in the month of May, just looking at the average as of last week, we back up to about 7.03%, somewhere around there. And that may not necessarily be palatable. However, there's something that I've discovered. For buyers, I know typically one of the things we'll talk about a lot is taking care of your credit score, which is important. Building your down payment, also important. But something I find really useful right now is shopping around for lenders. because lenders too, they're affected by these interest rates, so they need to get deals done. So I'm seeing some really creative, I'm seeing some really interesting plans and programs that lenders are putting together for different categories of persons, in public service, persons who are first-time home buyers, persons who are buying in certain communities. So there's some really interesting programs going on right now to help persons get lower interest rates and get into homes at a more affordable monthly payment. So that's one of the things I definitely recommend to buyers, is to talk to a couple of lenders. And even if you're working with a builder, this is one of the things I learned I really appreciated just recently. True life example, we actually were able to get a better deal with the lender versus the builder's lender, which is not typical, but it happened. And so we're able to help a client get into a home with a 6% interest rate at a time when the average interest rates were over 7%. And this is somebody, not necessarily great credit or a very big bank account, but we're able to achieve that. Now for sellers, I would advise the same thing, is talk to a lender before you put your house in the market. And here's how that can help you. By talking to a lender, you can figure out beforehand what you can do to contribute to the sale. And that can be part of your marketing for this home. By knowing that beforehand and advertising that, it lets buyers know right away, okay, this is what this person can do, and this is the type of interest rate I can achieve with whatever assistance the seller is providing. So that can actually bring more eyeballs to your listing, and of course more people walking through the door making offers. I was working on a $1 million listing a couple months ago, and we did that very thing, and that really helped the process. So I think I would definitely recommend sellers do that as well. Get with your lender, understand what you can offer, understand what you cannot offer, and put your marketing package together. So all this to say, do not let interest rates, the numbers, immobilize you if you need to buy or to sell. Let's look at all the options and figure out how to maneuver to achieve your goals. As always, I always enjoy this exercise because I learn a lot from it. I know my clients benefit from it, and I hope you watching as well was able to get some good information out of this. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing this every month, as well as other videos, other content about various communities in the Houston area, properties, tips on buying and selling. So all those things are to come. So please stick with us. Love to hear from you, so comment, like. You can also reach me by phone, text, email. My information is in the description below. Also in the description is my calendar, where you can set an appointment. We can get on a call, we can get on a Zoom, whichever you prefer. So as always, it has been an absolute pleasure sharing this information with you. Hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, and take care till next time.